Okay, so I have a cluster that came in the mail today. I'm going to power it up, see where we're at with it. Okay, microprocessor works, bottom screen works, no Prendl. Can't see it, it's out of focus here on the cam or out of the frame of the camera, but my power supply is saying it's only pulling 0.76 amps, so my guess is there's probably some bad solder joints on the resistors here. Oh, great. Because that's supposed to be around 1.3 and some change typically on a good board. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me there's not enough resistance in the circuit. So it tells me, you know, probably some resistors are not soldered properly. So we'll see if I'm right, but that's what I'm guessing right now, just based off powering it up quickly. And the motors didn't seem to work properly either. Here, actually, before I do that, I'll put it back in focus. Yeah, these motors feel bad. Ooh, really bad. That one's the best one, and it's bad still. So I'll go ahead and power it back up. Yeah, they don't zero properly. So there's something else going on here. Yeah, it's only pulling 0.65, 0.67 amps right now. So I'll get into it and see. But obviously, it didn't sweep properly. They didn't zero at all. I'm going to cut the video here. I dropped my tool that I used to take the needles off, so let me restart that here after I pick it up. Alright, so I use this little kid's plastic fork. Oh, I can tell these needles are set. Wow, way too far down. Somebody's definitely been in this. Probably a portion of why they don't work. I wonder if I just set them on there. Yeah, they're touching the... Yeah, that might be some of the problem. Wow, they're so tight. It's ridiculous. And like I said, these motors are definitely bad, I can tell. For sure, 100% needs new motors. But yeah, those are extremely tight. Alright. Interesting though, if it was worked on, there's no fingerprints right here, which is surprising. Typically that's what happens. So we'll just loosen it up here. There we go. Yeah, C5 motors, tungsten on them. It's pretty bad. They're all black. I'll power it up. I'm gonna put one of these needles on here just out of curiosity, just a little bit, see if it actually moves. No. Alright, same deal. So we only have a few lights. 3. This board has 313,000 miles on it. Before I turn off the power, let me just see. Oh, so this is a newer board. It's like an 05. Okay, so some resistors there. Get that up to like 0.7. It's probably... something on that stepper motor. So I need to check that. Just see. So we got it up to 0.83 already. These resistors here are getting hot though. Something else is going on this board. Okay, it's not hot, so that's good. Is that hot? No. Okay. Alright, so we know we can fix that. Display for sure for right now. I'm going to pull off these bulbs here. I'm going to turn it off. So, I haven't really done a complete video of me doing a board repair, but so I figured might as well do one. I know some people just snip these off. I don't typically. I just use my soldering iron real quick. Takes just a second. You know, everybody has a little bit different practice on how they do things. You know, it just depends on the guy and what he prefers, I guess. And I moved, so I just haven't been doing any cluster repairs for, well, since COVID. So I moved a little bit before COVID happened. And then, you know, I just hadn't been doing any board repairs since COVID. You know, every once in a while somebody will ask me to get one done. And, you know, they live 300-400 miles away. And I feel bad for them, so I've done, you know, some boards. I actually have another guy called me today. He's down in Soldotna. Just did a board for a guy yesterday in Soldotna, so you know, I don't mind doing that. And then I did a guy's board, you know, 2 days ago or something for, I don't know, it might have been a week ago, for a guy in Kisilov. So, you know, and I think I'm pretty fair on my rates. You know, I don't charge an arm and a leg. If it's something simple that I can fix. So this is interesting. I think that was packaging material from when it was shipped. Got inside. But I don't try and charge an arm and a leg. Like I said, I just enjoy doing these. It's kind of a, I don't know, something soothing for me to do that I enjoy more than actually getting paid to do. If it's something that's been completely hacked, you know, I definitely will charge full rate for something. But, you know, typically I don't charge a whole lot. Also, for the other thing is I haven't been doing these clusters, you know, repair work a whole lot as far as time's concerned, right? Like I only have a little over a year under my belt doing electronic repair on these things. And, you know, there's much better guys out there in the lower 48 that, you know, spent a formal degree and time, you know, into getting, you know, all the time and effort that goes into these and the education behind them. And luckily, you know, big shout out to Jeff and Matt. They've been really helpful in helping me out here. They're great sense, knowledge, you know, behind both of those guys. And so, you know, big shout out to those guys. I've been doing computer repair. I don't do it at the component level like this, but, you know, I started out building computers when I was 16. Worked for a big internet service provider when I was a little older than 16, maybe, you know, not even 17. So I did that for a little while and just kind of got out of it, went to the electrical field for a while, hurt my back, couldn't go back into electrical field due to liability. So just got right back into computer work. And, you know, I've been in the industry with computers for, gosh, over 16, 17 years now, which is a lot for me because I mean I'm not technically that old. Yeah, I knew that was a bad solder job up on the top one. But anyways, been doing computer normal repair and just like, you know, I do a lot of coding is basically what I do now. And recently became a supervisor for that team. I just kind of want to do something that keeps me kind of tech savvy, something like I said, I have fun doing. Oh, that was a bad solder joint. And I'll look at these under the microscope. Yeah, I could tell that was bad. So typically I always push down on these resistors as I solder them. And you know, you're always dealing with probably a bad solder joint to begin with. So, you know, you gotta take it with a grain of salt when you're doing these. You know, these resistors come off. They've been on these boards forever. So typically, there you go, I push them down and then make sure I get a good, there we go, good solder joint, and then I'll come on the other side. I was just being lazy as I was talking here. Anyhow, I can't ever do this if I'm not talking. Listen to music or gotta have something going on. I normally would remove the motors first, but since I'm doing the video here, figured I'll just kind of show you what I've been doing as far as soldering, get all these to work. Just make sure at least both displays work properly. So I've had this Eakins microscope. You know, it was much cheaper than an Amscope, and you know, like I said, I was just kind of getting into it. So, man, I hate having this motor here. I'm soldering these. Man, I really like this Eakins. The glass on it is phenomenal. I kind of, like I said, I have this out in my garage right now. I don't know actually if I told that, but I'm out in my garage right now. I haven't fully set up any of this stuff. I just literally had some people that said, hey, I know you moved, but I really like my board fixed. Would you fix it? So I just kind of built a temporary setup out here to get that done. And I don't know, so that's what I got going on here. So I'm going to power that off. I'm going to clean up this board with all this flux. I'll boot it up, and like I said, I'll check my solder joints with the microscope afterwards, but for right now, this should work. And this is not going to fix the motors, right? And since none of the motors are sweeping properly, I don't think I don't think this is the only problem. And I'll double check, see what amperage we're getting on the board. There we go, looks much better. Gotta unplug my soldering iron, plug in my power supply. Alright, we'll give her some power. Yeah, something major is still going on. It's only pulling 0.47 of an amp. I mean, it boots up and looks properly, like it's working properly, but it's definitely not. Just double check. Yeah. Just want to make sure I didn't bump my setting on the amperage on my power supply. So visually it looks like it's working like it's supposed to, but obviously, like I said, that's the nice thing about having these power supplies that give you kind of the current and the volts. It lets you know how much it's pulling and gives you an idea if something's not right right away. So I'm going to cut this camera here, and then I'm going to move to my microscope camera. You can kind of see what I'm looking on the board here. Okay. So I looked with the microscope and I actually didn't see anything apparently wrong with it visually. So, but we did do the solder joints here. They look okay. The back of the board, it's hard to tell with the lighting, but the back of it actually looks pretty clean. And this is a newer board, and I can tell here just by the board design. So, kind of interesting. So I guess I'll start taking off. I'll do one of these motors real quick. Unplug that. Alright, plug that in. So I don't actually have my solder sucker, which is really inconvenient right now, but it died on me. So I'm thinking about getting a Hakko. I think that's just the direction I'm going to go. I don't want to be replacing it every... Sorry, I had to drink some tea. Don't want to be replacing it like every year. Or every 2 years, you know, if I can get 2 years out of the little China ones for $100. And the Hakko's, I think, $250, $270, right? You pay a little bit more, but, you know, right? You're paying for quality, so. And hopefully, like I said, I won't have to replace it every year. So, I mean, in the long run, it pays off. So this is not the ideal way to do this, but this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to get a little more solder on the tip. So basically I'm gently prying, quote unquote, prying the motor off as I'm heating these up. Just trying to loosen those solder joints. And this way you don't hard to see probably. Here, face you a little there. So I'm kind of pushing on the solder of the pins, and you just got to go back and forth fairly quickly when you do this. And don't want to put excessive force on the motor, because you do not want to pull these flow traces off. And so sometimes the downside with doing it like this is, I imagine what's going on right now, the pins on the front side of the board probably have solder on them, and they don't want to come out any further. So it's got to heat up the actual solder on both sides of the board now. There we go. So that actually should come out. There we go. See, almost fell right out. Like I said, that is not the ideal way you want to do it, but just for the video here, that's what I have available, and I'm just cleaning up the solder here. I am not prepared. I should have been prepared for this. Where is my solder wick? It's probably sitting right in front of my face, and I just don't see it. And it's underneath the board. Well, I didn't come prepared at all. So this one got shipped in, and I kind of just was going to go at it. So I turned off my soldering iron. I got to look where the heck I dropped my soldering wick at. Did I set it somewhere? I just did a board yesterday. Meters here. Put this lid back with the alcohol. Well, that's always boring. Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me. So I just didn't see it. All right, turn it back on. Pull this out. Cut this wick because it's really long from the last time I did it. All right, we're back in business. So what I like to do is just kind of heat up the solder with the pad a little bit, and then put the wick in it. See how quick that was? Doesn't take very long. There you go. So I got 4 good holes now for the stepper motor to go through. You know, and so guys that are doing this at home, without the fancy tools, I mean, this is the way you should be doing it. Obviously, you need some decent flux, but you can order that online for a few bucks. It's not that bad. So that motor fit right in there. I'm going to solder this one X27 back in place, and we'll see if this fixes this motor at least. Or if it's something else going on. Alright, because I did verify none of them worked properly when I first started. Alright. And I always like to, if you have one, and you're not just sent just the board, I like to use this plastic. Granted, these are directional, the way you're supposed to plug them in, but because the pins on these are essentially just square pins, it'll actually go in the other way if you didn't have the backing on the board, because the way it's molded, you could put it upside down and ruin one of these boards. So I always do this just out of habit. I have to unplug my soldering iron again, plug in my power cord. I gotta remember, so here's the X27. I did this motor here. Go ahead and power it on. So it doesn't look like it's working properly again. Voltage, or sorry, the amperage looks wrong. That motor feels so much better though. Yeah. I didn't wait for the capacitors to drain enough. That's why it did that. Wait a second. I'll drink some tea while it drains out there. Alright, should be reset. Power it back on. Well, it actually did sweep right. I wasn't really watching, to be totally honest. I was focused on drinking my tea. So I'm going to power it off one more time. This is with the new X27. Did it too soon again. Yeah. I think it's, the old boards are for sure 1.31 amps. Pretty much almost exact, is what those pull. I actually have another board right here, just sitting here. So I have another one. Here's the 03s. 03, 04, you can tell. This is, all the fingers are pointed this way. 05, 06, they're pointed to the left. So that's easy identifier and how you can check a board and see. So I'll go ahead and power it up now, and I'll watch this needle, see if it sweeps. Okay, so it is just bad stepper motors. So I'll do the rest of them here. And I don't, that's good to notice. So it looks like it's pulling 0.49, about half an amp on this newer style board. So maybe that's normal. It's been a while since I've pulled these. I just always have that 131. Just maybe because I do mostly 03, 04 boards. That's typically what I work on. So they did change the design of these boards a little bit. So, I mean, it's very, I would say acceptable maybe. That maybe they doesn't draw as much power. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have another one here to compare it to, but I'll do a full function test on this one to validate, everything's working the way it's supposed to. I need to get my solder sucker. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to get a Hakko. I'll get one of those, and that way I have a decent solder sucker. Man, what the heck is on all these pins? I think that's from the guy who shipped it. And you get it from people that, granted, they don't know any better, but basically what happens is they pack them with, I've seen peanuts, right? Peanuts have a lot of static in them. Cardboard boxes, paper, who knows, you see a lot of different things, but these are actually almost like, here, I have it sitting right here, I'll show you guys. Actually a good idea on the box. They use just like a Ryobi box, but it's just like a bunch of foam, but it's loose foam that can break apart easily, and I think that's what this is. I think there's just a bunch of that stuff that's on here. It kind of has that fiberglass look to it. I'll take my air and blow it off here later. But yeah, in the meantime, gotta unplug my power display again. Yeah, this is a hassle. I really need to get a full setup in here. I have an office downstairs in this new place. I just, like I said, I haven't moved in fully and just need to get more organized. Decent amount of solder on this. And yeah, so looks, you know, this makes it look really easy when I do it like this, honestly. Not because I'm that good, but I think it, you know, actually then what needs to happen, you know, like how I'm doing this and the amount of pressure I'm applying versus, you know, how easy it looks like I'm able to do this in the video maybe, are a little different. You gotta be fairly quick moving back and forth on these pins to get the solder heated up enough. But you don't want to stay focused on one area for a really long amount of time. On these pins, I don't get why people do that. They bend them over. Here we go. So it's like, I mean, they just don't want to come out of the board because they're so far bent over. There we go. Here's another one out. So yeah, you can just, like I said, you can just kind of take a soldering iron. The worst case, like I said, is usually like, you know, kind of want to get them up and warmed up while I do this. Then you can kind of push the pins straight is best way I can kind of explain it. And you got these little, you know, these metal, or sorry, these plastic portions of the stepper motor. Don't worry if you melt them a little as you're trying to get them out because you're taking the thing out anyways, it doesn't matter. And that's why you're seeing the smoke. There we go. Oh, a little bit of solder there. There we go. Yeah, so like I said, you don't want to pull hard, you don't want to break them. You pull these pads off, you're really going to regret it later. And it's interesting to me that I see so many people pull these pads right off when, like I said, all you do is you kind of get them a little hot, you'll feel them straighten right out, and then once you get them pretty much straightened out, just heat them, go back and forth. And just gently pull, have pressure. It's like, you know, to pull the motor out from the front side essentially. Don't get aggressive with it because, you know, if that solder, like I said, is not hot enough, you're just going to pull that pad with you too. And give the pad, or sorry, like if it's just not coming for whatever reason, you know, just wipe down your iron, put it back in some flux, give it a little bit more solder, and reflow it essentially. So it gives it a little more solder to flow, heats it up, and it'll pop. There it goes, pops right out. So, you know, don't get aggressive with it. That's the worst thing you can do with these things. Because if you do that, guarantee you're going to be sending it off to a professional to get it fixed. Because you're not going to have a microscope and not know how to fix these properly. So I got 2 more to go here. So same thing, right? Kind of heat them up, straighten them out. I don't know why they're always bent over, to be honest. There's no reason to bend them over. If you have good solder joints, it's going to stick. There we go. All right. Yep. So the problem again is clean my soldering iron, put some solder on there. All right, get a little bit more solder so it'll flow. And there it goes. That side's out. That side's out. Alright, make sure I don't pull the wrong one out here. So I have one left. That's this one, and I did put so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. Like I said, it's not rocket science. If you melt this motor as you're doing this, the plastic portion of it, who cares? You're going to put a new one in anyways. Sounds like the wife's coming in, so I'm going to cut off the stream here. Alright, sorry about that. Wife came home. Opened up the garage, made a lot of noise. So I got all the X27s installed. I just pushed them in. And then I'm going to go ahead and solder these in on the back side here. And like I said, I don't bend the pens over. There's really no reason to. The plastic's supposed to do its job and lock them in place, so just kind of no reason. Then you got to straighten them out next time if you want to pull them off or something. If something's not quite right for whatever reason. Just my solder reel falling down. When you put them back on, you definitely want to make sure you're not touching the plastic. But like I said, when you're taking them off with the iron, not a big deal. And like I said, I haven't really done a video showing, you know, my complete process on this, or, you know, most of the process, I guess, because there's a lot of videos out here that show how to do this, honestly. But I felt, you know, this might be helpful to somebody who doesn't have a solder sucker and wants to kind of know how to do it. I do believe these automatic soldering stations that heat up super quickly are definitely worth the money. So now after I'm done, I'm just going to clean up the board. Just want to get rid of any of that flux that was on there. And that's basically it for this. We'll get a little bit more alcohol. And I'm just using 91% alcohol. If you can get 99, even better. Just with COVID, it's been harder to source, so this is what I'm using right now, and it works just fine. The other thing, I guess, is I won't be able to put any new bulbs in here. I ran out actually yesterday when I did a cluster for a guy, so I'm waiting on them. I've already ordered them. They should actually be here any day, but then they had that horrible, you know, weather that they had in Texas, and really, not just Texas either, but really kind of slowed down all the shipments of things. So I just use a lint-free towel. That actually still looks pretty ugly. This doesn't really hurt anything. I'm OCD, so I like it to look as good as possible. So I'm gonna run this board over to my other station where I have like a air dryer, because there is a bunch of just weird bits from shipping in it. So let me do that real quick. Sorry for the noise. Alright, that looks better. I'll put it in its case. And put the front back on. Because I have high hopes. I'll have to take it back off obviously when I go put the lamps on there. I just want to make sure these needles work properly, so I'm going to go ahead and... Alright, sorry about that. camera died. So I got the needles back on. These motors feel really good. Those other ones were horrible. So they're all, you know, pushed to the side like I did before. We'll see if they sweep and zero out. Yep, so another build done. I'll say 90% done. I still got to solder some other components on there just to make sure that, or solder some stuff on the board just to make sure, you know, they don't have any bad solder joints in the future. And then, you know, obviously I got to add the backlighting like I was saying, but you know, the board obviously works. So as soon as I get the lights in, you know, this will be good to go. Thanks for watching. All right, well, like I said, the wife came home and went to the post office and happened to get lights. So I did go ahead and solder the rest like I said. I've re-zeroed, you know, and calibrated all the needles, so they look good. I'm going to go ahead and power it on. So you can see everything works now, lighting works. I don't have an easy way to turn off my garage, but you know, they all definitely do work. And then the other thing is you can't really see, but here I'll pull the camera so you can kind of see what's going on here. So this is my power supply, and as you can tell, it's pulling a lot closer to that 1.3 like I said before. So there was something else going on with the boards. So granted, you know, some of the lights weren't installed initially, and that, you know, those pull resistance, you know, or pull some amperage obviously on the power supply. But, you know, you're not talking a half an amp, you know, just on the lamps alone. So, you know, I don't want to give away all my secrets to everybody, of course, but there was some other stuff going on with this board, but it's all up and working now. So another board complete. Thanks, guys, for watching.